Which will have the cooler thing? The antique mall or the thrift store? This is the last day of a long trip. I have not shaven. It's the male equivalent of not putting on your makeup. I don't care. I just want to have a nice, easy day and find some cool stuff. And I just noticed there's a thrift store across the parking lot, so let's start there. It's the middle of the morning in Atlanta, and so traffic is horrible, of course. So I decided to get off the freeway in Marietta, and here we are. Aw, and look who we're helping. Well, I hope we find something. Looks like a mix of things, maybe a few old things. Nice price on this.
Whether you collect tools or jewelry, these old machinist cases are popular now.
Not an Incolay or anybody. You never know. Tiffany at Thrifting Vegas has taught me you just keep looking. Jimmy Johnson, someone would probably buy that.
I think Ellie Smith did this piece, and I really like the shape of it. It's black amethyst from the 30s, and that's a good price. I'll take this.
Well, those people were just looking at these, and wow, I think there's some cool stuff here. This looks like it might be Mexican made. No. USA, 1967. I'll take this. I'll probably take all of these. I'm glad that they didn't. I'm going to have to go get a cart. These are great. And Skulk debut. Okay, that is a single shaker. That is a single shaker. Silly, but these are cute for the price. We have a box. A lot of state plates made by this outfit, Kettle Springs in Ohio, after Vernon quit making. And let's see what else we have. As is, these are cute, sort of typical, but I think this stuff actually is poised to perhaps come back, and these prices are fine. Certainly for somebody collecting. Let's see what this aluminum piece is. Okay, 1971, yeah. Wendell August Forge, 5,000 in the edition. Not particularly rare. This is old. It is antique, $4.95. I mean, that's an awfully good price. Chocanware, so they have some stuff. Boyd's Victoria china from Czechoslovakia. That's going to be 1920s when exotic bird patterns were popular after the flowers were starting to give way. Again, these prices are great. This is probably Japanese. I just am avoiding doing a lot more dishware right now because I have plenty in stock. This is such a great little bank, but his little ears and his little feet are a little bruised. You expect that. Plus they put tape right on this that could peel off, but $4.95, that is really cute, out of about 1970. They have an antique price on the thing on the left, which really isn't antique at all. But this little printed cardboard table is an interesting Depression-era holdover where you wanted something that looked cute, but it had to be really cheap. So pressed cardboard with a printed surface was way cheaper than actually doing inlay, and this one's in good shape. Most of these were destroyed years ago. And it folds, and it's $10, and it will easily fit in the car and be very useful at shows, so it's going to be mine. American-made baskets in the 90s. This one is out of Vermont. What was their name again? Basketville, that's right. $13.95 if it was in better shape. I think eventually these will go up in value. Lovely porcelains in urns and vases. European crystal glass, the two vases there, those are pretty. Well, I have to say, as thrift stores go, I'm pretty impressed. They've got a lot of different varieties. They have a lot of merchandise. They have some vintage stuff. I'm happy with what I'm finding. Look at this IBM Selectric. This is what I learned to type on. What a dinosaur. $29.95. These were very precious, and we were told to be very careful of them. They often didn't work right. Seems like they have most of their older stuff isolated to that front window. But that makes it convenient to shop. And I'm sure there's some other things that would be cute for people in this. Toys seem all new. I think this is a new one. Oh yes, very new. My Little Pony. The regurgitation. Huh, men's sweaters. I needed these when I was up north and I never got around to getting any, so too late. Blankets don't look particularly old. Linens in general don't. Boy, this place is really big. Lots of clear glass. There's an older piece, but it's losing the electroplate. This is the difference between electroplate and silver overlay, where it's actual silver applied to the glass. I see lariat, but it's lost one of its loops. The whistle stop. This is Canonsburg Pottery, another Ohio company. This is the view of Lincoln's departure in 1861. So this would have been done around the centennial of the Civil War, and I'm sure there were a series of them. Canonsburg was actually in business for a long time and did a lot of patterns. We just don't run into as much of their stuff today. And then this is kind of just fun and funky and very 70s for $2.95. Japanese, when they were first starting to make over there, but I think it's a cute one. Yeah, these have come down a lot in value, but this is truly Victorian. This is true antique. It was part of a beverage set. The other pieces are long gone. It's $1.95. Easily worth $10 to $12. I'll take that. This is a pretty piece. I wonder if it could be Alexandrite glass. Lavender and pink. Let's see if it turns blue when I take it near the window. This appears to just be a pale lavender and does not seem to be Alexandrite glass, so I'm not so interested. Blue willow cup and saucer. This is older with the pattern on the inside as well. This is actually made in Holland. Willow is the pattern though. This was made all over the world, and yes, the Dutch made it too. Speaking of Vernon kilns, here's a pattern from the 40s called Fruit Veil. Again, they had to do a lot of the stuff that was similar to what Johnson Brothers had been doing during the Second World War because the English couldn't export to this country. $1.95 each is a great price on those. Well, this place is pretty well organized, but this wandered over here, and it's $2.95. It's Port Marion. Botanic Garden. Now this is Chinese production rather than English, so that may make a difference in value, but I still think it's probably well worth $2.95. Quite a lot of stuff here, I have to say. They get good donations too, and they're selling it at the right prices. Well, I filled up a box at a thrift store. Maybe I should just go thrifting here today. They greeted me right away. They seem like they're industrious. They're getting stock out on the floor. To say I'm impressed with this little store. Abingdon. This one is priced at $12.95. Nice piece, not a super bargain. And the Limoges piece with the poppies is nice from about 1910. Wow, I've outgrown the box. Amazing. The Avon Pixie Bell. Someone would probably like that, but it's $5 already. She's older and has a very pretty painted face, but it's as is, unfortunately. She's Goldcrest. Goldcrest and Goldscheider are related. This is the cotillion. Interesting family story about them fleeing Europe during the lead up to the Second World War. There's the problem in her wrist. And coming to America and doing very well for themselves. Well, I feel like I've seen it, but boy, this is a fun thrift store. What an unexpected pleasure. Only about $1 a piece for this poppy trail set. That's Metlocks from the 60s and early 70s, and actually, because it doesn't have much of a glaze color, it's very safe to use around the house. No lead when there's no color. Well, I will come back to this thrift store. This was great. Apparently they picked up from an estate sale, which is a great idea because there's still value in these things, and they have more time to sell them than an estate sale does. So here's the organization. This is the first time I've been to one of their thrift stores, but I like it. Oh my goodness. Well, if thrifting is this good here, then I imagine the antique mall should be great because they can just go right across the street and get cool stuff. I had the best time in there, and the young woman who was working there, she had bought one of the 1950 skunks, and I took the rest of the collection, and she was so excited, and I got to talk to her about why they did that stuff back in the 50s. And whoa, my little table is falling down in the wind. I think I had to get out of here and get the car packed and keep going. All right, well, here's where we were going in the first place. So now let's see what we were actually here to look at. Well, Marietta Antique Mall reminds me of a lot of fancier homes in Georgia because it has really lovely things. A lot of them are true antique and a lot are vintage. And then there are some things that are newer mixed in because it's more about the look. But these are quite lovely for $950 the pair. These are truly antique and they are Venetian. And they were meant originally to hold candles, not electric light. Gorham Aspen, this looks like one of those 1970s or 80s era wedding sets. Very good quality. Nice to use. We're starting to slowly see appreciation for crystal again. It surprises me, actually. I'm hearing younger people interested in lead crystal for serving, not to store liquid in because they're concerned about lead, but willing to pour a glass of it and drink it because it's pretty and it rings like a bell. Peacock, this pattern here you see is aesthetic period pattern glass, all in a naturalistic form. Popular in the 1870s and 80s. Notice the big bubble in there. That's a factory flaw. And that's actually a good thing to see in a way because it lets you know that it really is older. Always a fan of these 1930s dresser sets. These would travel with you if you wanted, or just be a nice presentation that you could keep on the boudoir table. There's a nice little clock. All of these are green celluloid. $195 for the early Art Deco dresser set with the box. This fellow's having 20% off right now. A lot of barware, more recent vintage, I would say 1970s, 80s for a lot of this stuff, even into the 90s on some of this neon. $200 for the Budweiser sign, considering that it's 20 years old, is a reasonable price. These mirrors have certainly gone up in value, but I do think he's a little aggressive, and that's why he's having a sale. He has 125 on Smirnoff and 75 on Stroh's. When you take the discount, now you're getting down into current retail, I think. I'm curious about these. These are only $8. This I might just pick up. This is English, and while the English don't sell as well here as the American, the fact that the shape is interesting might be reason enough, and it is made in England and says so. There's a lot of used furniture, interior stuff. Some of it's old. This is 19 teens or 20s here. This is 70s, but has an older look. But then there's this. This is a very nice little, probably English with these tiles. The little bellflowers. Aren't those cute? This is from about 1910. Hall tree with green tiles, only $170. That's actually a very good price for that. Now, it is missing the metal pans. You would have to have something fashioned to go in the bottom because that's where you put your umbrella so it catches the drips. The big old crow display at 20% off is going to be about $70. That's fun. The Budweiser light-up display is $80. Reasonable prices. Not for me for resale, though. Okay, we have a little iridized vase here next to these Fenton that I think is worth looking at for a moment. Question, is it old? I don't think so. The shininess of and the goldishness of that sheen, this iridizing, seems like something more recent in time. The glass feels slick and oily. It doesn't have real evidence of wear on the bottom. It doesn't have a signature either, and it's a little misshapen in a sense. So I think it's trying to look like Lotes glass or something else from the early 1900s, but it's not quite making it. And that is one thing when you're in a store that's really heavily interior focused, is that you are going to have to discern what is old from what's not, if you care. And I do, because that's my gig. Now, these are really neat. This is Red Wing, and I just love this fruit pattern from the 40s. Look at those really crazy, exaggerated shapes. Late 40s, early 50s. The creamer here. Here's your mark on the bottom. $36 on the tripart relish, $15 on a cup and saucer. The carafes are going to be the harder pieces to find, and so sculptural. Only $36 on the teapot with the lid. I know there was a time that would have sold for double that easily. It may still. And this one, on the other hand, is priced at $63, but what a classic 50s shape. Then later on in the 60s, they do this pattern, Random Harvest, and crazy shapes for those. And then this is Lute Song, a little more restrained, but still great modernist era shaping. Red Wing dinnerware is really a fun area to collect. I like these old shades. $6.99 for the pair. I don't know that I like them that much. Now this thing is pretty contemporary above it here. The Lotus lamps, I told everyone these were going to come back, and boy, now we are seeing them in modernist stores. And they really are fun. They're very 80s. The kidney-shaped table from the 60s is $4.50. Wish we had the one that we had when I was really little. And these, which are Pomo, that is the maker, $600 for the pair. So yes, things get discovered again. The nesting tables are a really good design by Giancarlo Frattini, and this is a 70s sort of combination of brutalism, skyscraper, deco revival. The table behind, we're starting to see interest in these because they definitely had a modernist aspect around 1980 when they were popular. Lou Hodges is the designer of this particular shaped end table. They have 150 on that. I think they're still a little behind the market, so you may see these at prices that you can afford. But of course, this is my favorite thing in the whole space. Driftwood lamp with the scenic fiberglass shade. Well, it's actually a cypress knee. I recognize those from Florida, and I'm betting this scene is Floridian. It's $90. I sure wish that I could get 10% off of this. I think I would take it at this price. I'm wondering if that might be the boats at Silver Springs. It definitely is sailing somewhere in Florida. This is pretty fantastic for me, and I'm going to buy it. I am so happy to find something good for Florida at the last minute. I hadn't really been finding very much specific for Florida, so that is going to be a nice thing to have in the booth. The table has a great look. It's priced at, let's see, half off original price, so it's $112.50, but you know, they're having a sale to make room for inventory, and the stuff is all cute, but there's just not really much that's actually old here in this booth at all. So you kind of need to know your stuff enough to know what you're looking at if you are going to go out and shop blind like this, because you could end up getting something you think is really cool that isn't actually old. Which, again, if you don't care, it's fine, but it'd be nice if you could tell the difference a little better. $3.85 on the old church light. Interesting repurposing of an old modernist wire table that had apparently lost its top or didn't have a good top. $88. It's an interesting mix of textures. On the one side, we have a bunch of stuff that, you know, again, it looks nice, but it's all new interior stuff. And then over here, we have beautiful Art Deco and 1920s mirrors like the one on the right for $120. These are lovely. I'd just like to see more of this, but I know in Georgia this sort of mixes what people seem to really like, and it is nice looking. It is the way people live, so I get that part. They said this is an Eggerman ruby mantle luster. The Eggerman designs are a little bit more clearly etched in Bohemian glass. This is cut to clear through ruby flashing, and it's priced at $160, which for a single with that definition is very nice and about right for price. The Fostoria pattern I rarely see. This is Fostoria Grand Majesty, a more simple pattern in a sense, but I really like it. And here it is in its more elaborate form on the water goblets. With this label, I would say these are from about 1970. Czechoslovakia becomes a country in 1918, and Art Nouveau is on the way out, and so is Majolica, but they did some really lovely early designs as they were starting up their ceramics industries that carried over from those various forms, and this is a nice example. It's only $59.99. On the left is a Lefton ewer, and it's $40, so what's the better value for money? It's all in the eye of the beholder. This is Royal Brooksonia from Austria. I like the applied cherries in the porcelain very much. That's from about, well, they say 1900, could even be 10 years older, and it's priced at $90. You know, again, everything in here is new pretty much except for the chair. This stork figure is interesting to me. It's another 80s thing that's going to come back. You see the brass, you see the mixing of it with gray tones. This is some sort of a resin, but it's supposed to look like marble, as you can tell. This is an outfit called Dolby Cashier, and these were made around, well, I think that one, if I look at the tag, if it has the tag still. Yes, there it is, 1987. You'll see these without tags a lot. This dealer is asking $135. That might be a little rich for this, but it's definitely something I could see people collecting now. I'm very fond of stick and ball furniture. It's one of my favorite Victorian forms because it's just design everywhere. If you're going to go Victorian, why not go all the way? It has little minarets, there's turnings everywhere, and here's the stick and ball. And this little piece is marked at $195. It's been refinished. It's probably 130 years old now. Here's a Hitchcock chair, and this is a nickel style, and it's got the natural caning and the natural surfacing. These were done in the 20th century. Hitchcock style with this sort of painting is done back in the 19th century originally, but it was very popular for a time when colonial revival came about in both the teens and the 60s. Time machine music is in this location. This would be fun to spend some time if you're a vinyl fan. Okay, well, I like the little utility table, but I like this viewer on top. However, this swung base, they want $125, so apparently the memo is out. Now, here's a neat old thing in the midst of a mix of mostly newer things, but I really like this old exit drop-down lamp. This would have been from a theater, probably about 1930, priced at $280. I do think it's had a few replacements, but it works, and that's the important thing. I don't know if it's for sale, but I have to say, I really, again, if you're going to go for Victorian encrusted, this etagere with all the cut work, which could honestly have been done in the early 20th century, is definitely a lot of design. And that great dark color could be a neutral in any corner. I do like that one. I don't see a price on it. I know that the Victorian one next to it is $460 on sale. Ah, I see, $140. That seems like a much better deal. This seems like a lot of accessorizing for white and light decor. And it's very cute. And there's definitely older things in this display. A lot of these various violets. Very sweet, and the nice Mason's purple. You don't see the purple as often. But Mason's was around for quite a while, so that's the watch row pattern. But I can't say that I see anything that really moves me. I would like this, but $35 is more than I get for them. Lots of chalkware. I still like chalkware. I still sell chalkware. You just have to be careful with it when you're moving it around. But I don't see anything that's priced below retail for me. And condition is a problem with some of these. I like Davy Crockett here. This is the same basic mold they used for the cookie jar. And he's only $40. So not bad. General MacArthur would be great, but his cap has taken a near miss. Some neat stuff in this space. I love the campus bus service sign. That is cool. There's a carriage blanket behind that I like. That's $145 in the mohair from the late 1890s. And then here's a neat coffee tin from a store. Park's Dry Roast Breakfast Coffees, unmatchable. This is a really cute store display that I've never seen before. So the Toastmaster is that toaster. It's fully automatic from about 1950, and it's on this strange little garden cart for some reason. $295. That is a pretty neat piece of advertising. This dealer does have some good advertising pieces. Some more obscure brands of sodas. These are neat old seed tins, $5.75 for the pair. But look how cute those are from the Victorian era. This is hard to find. This is Hires Root Beer. It's from about 1940. You see the blue and the very patriotic colors and the Art Deco style to the root beer in the logo. And this would have been a counter-mounted syrup dispenser, priced at $7.50. I've never seen one. Moore's ice cream sign behind there is $125. This is really a fun space. Hi, everybody. Real good. You'll love it too. $2.95. I like that they have so much stuff. If you were doing a fun soda fountain, you could get things that were actually used in soda fountains, like these gum dispensers, and have a really cute space with a lot of fun things to enjoy. Old 1940s postage stamp dispenser, $1.95. Well, right in front of me, they just took the tag off this table. Eastlake, great marble top, American, $4.95. I'm sure they got a little discount, but that's a fantastic piece, and I told you marble was back. This is cool. Black Draft. Apparently, it is a laxative made in Chattanooga. $3.95 for the door push set. That's pretty cool. And yeah, this poor fellow is having to move this. I feel like I should have offered to help, but he seemed like he had it under control. Custom clothes from J.L. Taylor, $89.95. And here's this neat thing he had to take off of there. This is a fire alarm call transmitter. So if your fire alarm went off, they would send it to the appropriate station. This is from about 1930. I wonder what something like this costs. It's another unusual thing. $7.50. Neat set of chrome chairs from the 30s from some cafe for $4.95. I like that they have backings. Well, there you go. No more table. It disappeared right in front of me. I have a Wheel of Fortune to bring to my next show. I wonder what they want for theirs. $4.75. I'm not asking as much for mine. Time clocks are a thing people are collecting now because they don't really use them anymore. $159 on that. That's an old one, 1920s, I would say. Spark plug hanging shelf that could be handy for display, and it is $200. Boy, I remember when they were selling for half that. It wasn't that long ago. When things get popular, they can really pop up. Here's something cool. This is a trolley bench, and how can you tell? Well, the back is adjustable, because when the trolley was going the other way, they didn't turn the trolley around, and if you wanted to be sitting facing forward, well, you got up and you turned it around yourself. Again, jewelry. There's going to be new and old mixed in together, and I see a little bit of each. If I see anything that grabs me, well, we'll take a moment and look at it more closely. Here's an example of that. This is only $14, purple and Aurora Borealis stones, but look at the new clasp. That is our clue. That and the fact that these are looking like prong set, but they're glued in. This is new jewelry from China. I avoid it. Again, a place like this, a lot of their business is in interiors and with interior decorators. So you're going to see some spaces with lots of smalls, and you're going to see some that are mainly furniture. Parker did a lot of silhouette wear, and as did Hall in the 1930s. Parker's had the lovely lady in the garden, $7 on the plate. Now these look buyable for me. $12 on this fairly normal, but nice enough looking gold encrusted bottle. Now this is open because it used to have a lid that's missing, so we'll leave that. And then this one is missing its atomizer. Unless it's just a squirt type, but nope, you can see there's the hole. The atomizer bulb would have been there, so that's no good. We will just take the one. This is a very showy rooster. I'm sure he's Japanese. He's very lightweight. He has a felt bottom. 1960s, $15. Here is something that is a good teaching moment. This is marked as Stevens and Williams, and Stevens and Williams did do these sorts of patterns in the Victorian era. But then in the 1980s and 90s, AA imports started having knockoffs made. Look at the gunk inside this pontil. That's not something that would have happened in the old days. They might have had other kinds of gunk, but not brown. That might have been cotton from annealing back in the old days. Look how there's absolutely no wear on any of the points, and they're not perfectly crimped. They're not formed in a way that's really very clear and definite. If you saw an original, you would note the differences there, and also this feels slick and oily like newer glass does. How funny, Cafe Nervosa really was a coffee shop in Seattle. But it wouldn't be an antique mall without one of these. This one's $42.50. That might be the most expensive one I've ever seen. Boris O'Klein, the French artist, just can't stop laughing at this series. These are older prints that were framed at a later time. They're priced at $139 each, which is about what they go for. Dog Society in France. The Rose Bowl ticket from 1945, $25. The East-West game. That seems like a reasonable price. Old tickets can be worth money, especially championship games. And then this is Richard Nixon visiting Atlanta during his campaign, the time he won president. $5.99 for this press pass. U.S. mail topper, $69. I guess that could give you dispensation to drive on the wrong side of the road near mailboxes. $65 on the Olympia beer sign from about 1980. Second to none, but about fifth best in the state of Washington. There are reasons some of these are not made anymore. Now you're going to see tables full of lovely looking displays, but again, it's more about putting things together because most of these things are not really antique and a lot are not even vintage. And you know, that's just something you have to understand when you're shopping in this kind of a mall. You're going to find a few big items that are interesting, and you're going to find some smalls that are undervalued or misplaced. So you will make money as a reseller shopping here. And if you're buying for your own collections, you'll find some things too. So these kinds of malls are perfectly great for what they're trying to be, and they're very successful in their regions because they know their regional tastes. It just doesn't mean that we're going to find tons of antiques and vintage in here. On the other hand, we do have the very rare Alf blanket or sleeping bag. Oh, even better. No problem. $45, yes. Little Zeno probably had this when he was a kid. Kurock owls. I like looking on bottom shelves. $25 for the pair. Not a terrible price, but not really room for me. Let's take a look at the blue geese. These are good blue geese, though, because these are Louisville stoneware. $29 on the casserole, $29 on the cookie jar, $29 on the pair of canisters. These are prices I would expect as this starts to re-enter awareness in the collector market again. Now, this is a great thing that I am glad to know about because all of my lamp repair in Florida, well, they've all retired, so I may have some jobs for this fellow. I have to be honest, I do wonder how some of the folks selling these newer things that are perfectly nice that you can find at garage sales near you, how they make it. I mean, the rent must be really inexpensive. A lot of places in this mall also, they're making a wonderful display, but there's just very few items in it. So even if you sold everything, would you make much money? I just wonder how people do it. It's just a different form of business. I'm sure there's things about it I don't understand that make sense if you're doing it this way. $285 on this semi-antique rug, meaning 50 years old, not 100 yet. Gosh, the days of getting these old store displays cheaply seem to be over. This is priced at $195. Rooster and Roses covered butter dish, $22.50. Now, these Art Deco lamps from the 80s and 90s, some of them are out of production. Some of them are selling pretty well. This one is $259. This, on the other hand, might be going out. $35. I have a feeling it will be less next year at a garage sale near you. I love the lamp, but otherwise the thrift store is winning over the antique store as far as smalls go. There's just a lot of things that are just things, really. I just don't feel a connection to a lot of this newer stuff. It wasn't made by anybody in this country. It wasn't made by anybody I know. Nobody's father or grandfather has a history with it. Nobody had it in their house because it was special to them. It was just stuff you got that everybody could get, and it's what it looks like. But again, this sort of a store is going to be like this, and yet you'll find other things that are really great. This factice for $35 will probably have to come with me. I like the hairnet stand too for $195. I'm looking for things to file ephemera in, but I don't want to pay that price. I like this down here. They say it's a salesman's sample, but it's actually a box for weather stripping. It would have been a hardware store display. Some nice old clocks. I like this French one, circa 1840s with the Morier movement. Usually I'm used to seeing these having giant pendulums that hang down, but this one is a wind-up. so it wouldn't have needed that. And there's nice enameling. The French really were among the better clockmakers of the mid-19th century, and this one's priced at $325. I do not approve of this. There are clockmakers who can fix these. Why would you put a quartz movement in this and devalue it? So now it's $79 instead of $125. This is unusual. These little celluloid clocks from the 1920s rarely work anymore, and this one says it does. They were very inexpensive movements. Celluloid was an inexpensive material to use. This is a nice looking piece, and $50 is a good price in working order. Austrian porcelain of the circa 1900 variety. A candlestick, $24. That's a good price. A little spill vase or match holder. The cherub has an arm missing. The Three Musketeers. That's fun. Maybe there's 4 in there. That appears to be a Rudolstadt mark, if I'm reading it correctly. Out of Germany. And the other portrait transfer vase behind it is Austrian. That one's priced at $89. With the return of neoclassicism, this chariot print and this group of dancers could be the next thing you'll see younger people hanging on their walls, priced at $125 each. I mentioned that Masons had been around for a long time. This is very early ware, trying to look like gaudy Dutch or gaudy Welsh. You see there Mason's patent ironstone china mark. This is going to date to sometime around 1880. You see the finial is at an angle. That is purposeful. That is not a factory flaw. That was a design element. And this covered casserole dish is $129. I don't see jewelry in price ranges that I like. I do like this enamel piece right dead center, though, with the blue and the black outline and the red knobs. Some cute Victorian whimsies. I sure had fun selling the collection I had a couple of years ago. I haven't had but one since. The Fond Defect piece is $110 now. That's probably a proper price for it at the discount. Chloe is now $110 as well. Factices, of course, do not have cologne in them because that would be thousands of dollars of cologne. They're just to look pretty in the store. Nice row of chunky bracelets. They all seem to be in about the $35 to $40 range, which is what I would charge. Unfortunately, because I would love to buy them, but they got them first. I used to get branch coral so cheaply in Florida, and I've noticed the prices have really gone up lately. I have to admit, I love the table. I like the lamp too, but I love the table. Look at these great chrome legs. I had something similar, but in reeded form when I had a chrome table like this. This one is priced at $850. The sailfish is $475. That's about what I would get for that in Florida. It's a beauty.
Can I make a copy of this?
Yeah, please do. Wow, I love that Miriam Haskell, the glass with the tulips. $200. Those are fragile, but they're beautiful. This Goodwill looks like it's really underpopulated, and I had so much fun at the other thrift store, I'm going to hit this last place before I get on the freeway. Well, that was interesting. The guy who walked in the door behind me is trying to hire someone to take a coffee table home for him, and he only lives a few blocks, and if my van wasn't completely full, I'd do him a favor, but he caught me a little too late. So I'm going to show you what I see on the aisles here. It looks pretty picked over, but they might just be restocking after the weekend. And while we look at this stuff to see if there's anything old or vintage or interesting here, I wanted to just thank those of you who are members and ask those of you who are not to consider hitting the join button or looking in the listings of any video for the membership information. You can see if that's for you. We have a lot of different programs. I do a live chat with my level 3 members every month. I do early access videos for level 2. And all of your support is just so appreciated. It really does help the channel. A very simple crocus pattern by a small American company called Grant Crest, operated around the late 50s. There's some older pieces. These look Japanese from the 30s, and they are from the 50s, actually. Oh yeah, that giant coffee table was not fitting in my car. Oh no. These are cute and probably brand new. Well, people are trying really hard, but I'm sure not seeing anything old here. One cute little old couch from the 1940s with its original grandma upholstery. Mainly contemporary furniture. Yeah, I am just not seeing anything here today. I have to say, the other thrift store made me think all thrift stores were wonderful, but this Goodwill, Not too impressive today. Well, there's an interesting lesson for you. Did the decorator slash antique mall do better for me, or did the thrift store? Well, I got the coolest thing at the antique mall, and I got the biggest profit markup on the fun stuff that I got at the thrift store. So really, it was about a dead heat.
If you enjoyed this video, check out this one. Also, click thumbs up to like this video and check the description for information about our Patreon, our memberships. We've got a lot of different levels with different perks and bonus videos and early content. Also, please do check out our website, theantiquenomad.com, for appraisal help. And we'll see you again for more adventures in the antique and vintage community soon. Bye for now.